Hello again, and welcome back to Year 5 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is Week 43, Day 1. We're continuing through the book of 4th Kingdoms. Last time, we saw several of the miracles that God did through Elisha, or Eliseus, the prophet, including the raising from the dead of the son of the Shunammite woman. We noted there, and in the other stories, how these miracles prefigure and prophesy the Lord's ultimate healing of all humanity, with not just the resurrection, but also the multiplication of the food to feed the crowd, and the remedy given to the food in the pot, which had been death for those who ate of it, so that it became nourishment for them, once meal or grain, like bread, were added to it. We also noted, although this was just in the recordings, that what Elisha does in a small way, the Lord does in a greater way. What Elisha is able to do through prayer and intense supplication, the Lord does with a word in the raising of the dead. So, in these things, we see the difference between a prophet and God himself. So this time we will see 2 more miracles of Elisha in what will be a longer reading. Those who are constrained for time should consider skipping the episode in which Gehazi tries to get money from Naaman. Suffice to say, it works, but it doesn't work out well for him. So this is chapter 5 of 4th Kingdoms or 2nd Kings. So, Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and in high favor, because by him the Lord had given victory to Syria. He was a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. Now the Syrians on one of their raids had carried off a little maid from the land of Israel, and she waited on Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "Would that my lord were with the prophet who was in Samaria. He would cure him of his leprosy." So Naaman went in and told his lord. Thus and so spoke the maiden from the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, "Go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So he went, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 festal garments. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, which read, "When this letter reaches you, know that I have sent to you Naaman my servant, that you may cure him of his leprosy." And when the king of Israel read the letter, he rent his clothes, and said, "Am I God, to kill and to make alive, that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Only consider and see how he is seeking a quarrel with me." But when Elisha the man of God heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, he sent to the king, saying, "Why have you rent your clothes? Let him come now to me, that he may know that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman came with his horses and chariots, and halted at the door of Elisha's house. And Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, "Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean." But Naaman was angry, and went away, saying, "Behold, I thought that he would surely come out to me, and stand, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and wave his hand over the place, and cure the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them, and be clean?" So he turned and went away in a rage. But his servants came near, and said to him, "My father, if the prophet had commanded you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much rather, then, when he says to you, 'Wash and be clean'?" So he went down, and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God. And his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. Then he returned to the man of God, and he and all his company, and he came and stood before him, and he said, "Behold, I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. So accept now a present from your servant." But he, Elisha, said, "As the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will receive none, no present." And he urged him to take it, but he refused. Then Naaman said, "If not, I pray you, let there be given to your servant 2 mules' burden of earth. For henceforth your servant will not offer burnt offering or sacrifice to any god but the Lord, to any god but Yahweh. In this matter may the Lord Yahweh pardon your servant. When my master goes into the house of Rimmon to worship there, leaning on my arm, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, may Yahweh your God pardon your servant in this matter." He said to him, "Go in peace." But when Naaman had gone from him a short distance, Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, "See, my master has spared this Naaman the Syrian in not accepting from his hand what he brought. As the Lord lives, I will run after him and get something from him. So Gehazi followed Naaman, and when Naaman saw someone running after him, he alighted from the chariot to meet him and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master has sent me to say, There have just now come to me from the hill country of Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Pray give them a talent of silver and 2 festal garments. And Naaman said, Be pleased to accept 2 talents. And he urged him, and tied up 2 talents of silver in 2 bags, with 2 festal garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants. And they carried them before Gehazi. And when he came to the hill, he took them from their hand, and put them in the house. And he sent the men away, and they departed. He went in, and stood before his master, and Elisha said to him, Where have you been, Gehazi? And he said, Your servant went nowhere. But he said to him, Did I not go with you in spirit, when the man turned from his chariot to meet you? Was it a time to accept money and garments, olive orchards and vineyards, sheep and oxen, men servants and maidservants? Therefore the leprosy of Naaman shall cleave to you, and to your descendants forever. So he went out from his presence, a leper, as white as snow. And then there's another story about the axe head, which falls into the water and then is restored when when Elisha throws a piece of wood into it. But we'll omit that for the sake of time and continue with verse 8 of chapter 6. Once, when the king of Syria was warring against Israel, he took counsel with his servants, saying, At such and such a place shall be my camp. But the man of God sent word to the king of Israel, Beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are going down there. And the king of Israel sent to the place of which the man of God told him. Thus he used to warn him, so that he saved himself there more than once or twice. And the mind of the king of Syria was greatly troubled because of this thing. And he called his servants, and said to them, Will you not show me who of us is for the king of Israel? Who's the spy? And one of his servants said, None, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet who is in Israel tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedchamber. And he, the king, said, Go and see where he is, that I may send and seize him. It was told him, Behold, he is in Dothan. So he sent there horses and chariots and a great army, and they came by night, and surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God rose early in the morning and went out, behold, an army with horses and chariots was round about the city. And the servant said, Alas, my master, what shall we do? He said, Fear not, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Then Elisha prayed and said, O Lord, I pray you, open his eyes that he may see. So the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. And when the Syrians came down against him, Elisha prayed to the Lord and said, Strike this people, I pray you, with blindness. So he struck them with blindness in accordance with the prayer of Elisha. And Elisha said to them, This is not the way, and this is not the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom you seek. And he led them to Samaria. As soon as they entered Samaria, Elisha said, O Lord, open the eyes of these men, that they may see. So the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw, and lo, they were in the midst of Samaria. When the king of Israel saw them, he said to Elisha, My father, shall I slay them? Shall I slay them? He answered, You shall not slay them. Would you slay those whom you have taken captive with your sword and with your bow? Set bread and water before them, that they may eat and drink, and go to their master. So he prepared for them a great feast, and when they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away, and they went to their master. And the Syrians came no more on raids into the land of Israel. Okay. So, there's a lot that we might say about this. But really, in these 2 passages that we've read, what we see is God's mercy is granted not just to the house of Israel, but even to the Gentiles, even to this Naaman, who is the general, who's been commanding armies in battle against Israel. But he comes asking for mercy, and he's granted it if he will receive it in humility, if he will obey. And we see he takes the point. He says, I will be a servant of the Most High God only all the days of my life. But then he says, but I do have responsibilities to my king. Please forgive me if I have to hold his hand and support him as he goes into the pagan temple. If I seem to bow down there, I don't mean it. I'm faithful to Yahweh only. which is interesting. And the prophet tells him to go in peace. He doesn't say, yes, that's fine, may it be blessed. He just says, go in peace. So it's interesting. But Naaman and his pride and anger at first, but then his humility, these are an example for all of us, and still more, and especially for those who serve as clergy, who serve with authority in the church. The warning against profiting, against taking, against benefiting from the grace of God that is administered. This is a problem. Now, it's not necessarily a problem. Elisha refused the money, and that is a good and common thing to do. The problem was that Gehazi then lied and went after it, and was determined to not be a fool like Elisha, he thought. So, therefore Gehazi, for his greed and for his lie, he comes to be punished. But even with the soldiers who come after Elisha, we see mercy. They are struck blind, and they are brought into the power of the king of Israel. And being in the power of Israel, then they are fed a meal, given a feast, and sent home in peace. And by these miracles, by this peace, the wars of Syria against Israel come to an end. And now, and for many centuries, Damascus and the land of Syria, these lands are faithful to the Most High God. These lands have been Christian country for many, many years. Now, just for the last 100 years, that has ceased to be. But even so, there are many Christians still in Damascus and in Syria. Naaman has many who are even more faithful than he. So, anyway, there's more we could say, but for now, God bless you all. We'll see you shortly for day 2.